If advertising is dead, as some people have said, how come Nike did a print campaign that not only went around the world, but also boosted their profits and share prices? That's the subject of today's edition of Inside AB. I'm Jeremy Lawrence, and I'm joined here in the studio by Bernd Debusman. Okay, Bernd, welcome to the studio. This is a subject we visited at the time 6 weeks ago, the Colin Kaepernick controversy. At the time, we were asking, is this going to play out rather badly for Nike? Have they overstepped the mark or not? It seems that they didn't.
Well, no. I mean, there was quite a lot of vocal opposition to what Nike did. For example, I saw videos of people burning Nike shoes, blacking out the logo with black marker.
Cut up socks, did you see that?
Yeah, they're cutting up their T-shirts. But in the end, it didn't actually have a bad business effect. And then, if anything, it had a positive business effect. Online sales rose by 31% just after the whole scandal broke. And it seemed actually the more that, for example, President Trump spoke about it, the better Nike was doing. And in their fourth quarter revenue was $9.8 billion, which is almost 10% higher than the previous year. So, I mean, it really didn't damage them at all from a financial standpoint, or really from, in generally, I think I've seen polls that people don't think any worse of Nike now than they did prior. It's just a certain segment of people, perhaps.
So it seems importantly they dug in and they didn't give up on or back down, did they? But tell us about examples where advertisers have got it wrong.
Well,
or not, as the case
that's the thing.
I mean,
that's the question, though. Even when you get it wrong, can you really get it wrong? A lot of people remember that Pepsi ad, which kind of used imagery from Black Lives Matter protests. People were very, very, very angry about that. But there again, despite, and they actually had to pull the ad, which was unique, and most of the time they don't. But despite all that, their profits went up 2% to $15.7 billion in the quarter after this took place, and 44% of people still said they had a favorable view of Pepsi, despite this, I guess, what many people thought was a ill-advised ad using a very sensitive subject as the basis for it. So again, and there's many examples. Zain, the Kuwaiti telecom company, in Ramadan, they had an ad that many people thought was quite insensitive, which featured refugees and suffering children in the Muslim world. But again, some people really disliked it, but most people seemed to, if anything, be fine with it or be in support of it, because it sends a message that most people can't send, can it? And you never know. They say, any bad press is good press, and I think in many of these cases that turns out to be the case.
Right. So what are the lessons we can take from this? I mentioned earlier on that Nike dug their heels and didn't back down, and that played well for them. What else can we take from these examples?
Well, I think the main one is that advertising clearly isn't dead. If it can still have this much impact and cause this much stir, then it really can't be dead, because it's obviously reaching the audience that it needs to. And if something like this blows up in the news, it's reaching probably a larger audience than was originally intended.
Yeah.
And the other lesson is that there can't be any half-hearted campaigns. For example, Nike refused to back down from this and caused more of an uproar, which caused more attention to the company, which probably caused more sales. So I think the lesson for companies is that if you're going to do an ad like this, stick with it.
So you need to think it through, though, don't you? Because you've got to, you can't back down once you've done it. Are there any more lessons that you took from this?
Well, it's, I suppose, you could say that it's about pushing boundaries as well and taking a stand as a company. Companies aren't necessarily just about making money. A company can have an ethical stand on a certain topic.
Right. We've written about this as well before, haven't we? That millennials want companies that stand for something. It's important to this younger generation. They want to believe that the company believes in something.
Yeah, and I think that's something that, for example, in social media, you go on Twitter, for example, everyone seems to be having a position on a certain topic.
Yeah.
So they expect the companies that they're customers of to also have a position on it.
Great, well, thanks for that, Bernd. You've been watching Inside AB. Please do share your comments and thoughts on this topic, controversial as ever. We'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Please do join us then.